Right, we are going to be looking at the Boss RC-500 and updating the firmware today. Had this about a week, not had much time to spend using it. Did notice though that the supplied batteries only lasted well under 30 minutes, so a little bit disappointing. Also, I have found it pretty inconvenient to need to plug in the plug into the mono A output to actually turn the machine on. I would have much preferred there to be a physical on-off switch, and I'll be looking at that. And also found it pretty disappointing there's no headphone out socket on this either. But anyway, to check the current firmware you need to press and hold the menu button whilst plugging that in. Hopefully you can see that on screen. Version 1.01, build is 39. Current version is version 1.02. Now we are going to put this into USB mode, which is menu and exit, and plug in. You'll see that connecting. I'm going to plug the USB cable into the laptop. And we'll move over to the laptop. That should say connecting and then connected, which I think it did. On mine, this has automatically opened up onto the correct screen. Now, download the file from Boss, and we're just going to need to click agree and download. Save the file. So I've already downloaded it earlier, but we're going to go to the folder. I'm going to quickly drag that onto the desktop just to make things easier. Right, so once it's on the desktop, I would right click, properties, unblock. I tend to do this with every downloaded file, and OK. Then right click, extract all. We're going to extract it to the desktop. Is done. It's also opened it. I'm just going to close that down and just do it on the desktop. So if we double click there, you can see the folder, and you need to drag these three files into the Boss RC-500 folder. For some reason I've got two appearing on there, no idea why that is. Let's just quickly refresh that. Okay, so we will go into the Boss folder. We'll just minimize that and go back to Boss for a moment. We'll just go back up to the instructions. So we have got to stage 4. Drag and drop all files included in the folder. Do not copy the folder itself. So we are literally dragging and dropping the desktop files, which we will go into now. So we will right click, we'll click copy, go into the Boss and paste, and that is done. If we go back to the instructions, disconnect the Boss RC-500 from the computer. Still says connected. Press the value knob to start the update process. Value, okay. So the one up the top here. I think we're going to have to exit that first. Update, yes. So let's do enter, writing. Hopefully you can see this screen. We're up to 25%. at the end of this process it should say complete, and then we will remove the plug and reinsert it, and the next time, well, as soon as that runs again, it will complete the update process. That's complete, so we can now unplug that and plug it back in. And that should be that. And if we unplug and press menu and plug it in again, this time we should see 1.02, which I believe is the correct. Yeah, that is now the correct firmware, and build is 40. So yeah, that is that. A couple of things to bear in mind. Just watch hot plugging things in. Make sure that you've discharged yourself by touching something that's ground. I'm not a fan of hot swapping cables and plugging things in with them turned on, so just be careful of that. Also, there are a lot of USB cables around these days that have only one purpose, and that is to charge the device they're being sold with, perhaps a rechargeable torch, that sort of thing. These cables tend to end up in the same box in this house, and I've just tried 3 different cables before coming up with this one, because all of the others were for charging only. They did not have the data wires connected, or even present, I shouldn't have thought. So make sure if you get no response when you switch this to USB mode, your computer doesn't recognize it, make sure you are using a data cable. And yeah, that is that. So I'm probably going to do a teardown of this in a later video, and I would be very interested to see if there's any way of fitting an on-off switch to this. I'm not really happy pulling this in and out every time I want to turn the thing on and off. I think that is a pretty poor way of doing things. Anyway, hope that was helpful, and that was how to update the firmware on the Boss RC-500.